The brothers Wisp. The brothers Wisp, brothers Wisp. The brothers Wisp. The brothers.
You're now listening to Greg. It's the Brothers Wisp. Let's
Hey everybody,
ride through space
welcome to the Brothers Wisp number 148. I am Greg Soul, and I am coming out of the motherland, Texas, College Station, Texas, to be exact. And I've only been here like half of the month, so it feels great to actually be back in person in my own home. It was weird today. I had to keep telling myself, hey, you get to stay at home for a little while, and I hope presumably for the rest of the year as well. But we have a brand new face, which I always enjoy having new faces in here. Today we have Andrew Horton.
Hi.
There you go. You have to say hello to the people so they know what your voice is like.
You can hear me in here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are you out of, Andrew?
I'm over here in Kingston, Washington, tiny little town, small little area in the Pacific Northwest. And it's a little cold today. And that's just kind of how it works. And rainy. Not I can't tell now because it's dark. I mean, it's 5 o'clock. Yeah, I like it. I call it liquid sunshine. I find it very therapeutic. I mean, I'll go to the beach when it's raining. I live here. I grew up here, so it's home to me.
It's all the same to you. Liquid sunshine. You know what? It's weird. Rain is really calming for me. I just some people, I guess it kind of drags their mood down or whatever, but it just kind of chills me out. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But having said that, we don't get that much rain in Texas traditionally. The last couple of years, thanks to global warming, we get more. But usually it's pretty dry. So maybe that's why, because it's an every now and then kind of thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not going to overthink it. We also have Mikey Hammett from Chicagoland.
I was trying not to say it, but that did everything else. So, hey, how's it going?
It almost slipped out anyway. So there you are. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's get some of the vegetables out of the way so we can get to dessert. We have a new patron. Actually, just joined up today. Stephen LaPage, perhaps. I'm not sure how he wants to pronounce it. I think the second way is definitely the way to go. But he went to patreon.com/brotherswisp. He slid into our DMs. Is that what you do on there? No, he clicked the button and joined our patronage and got access to the patron-only Slack, where a lot of great discourse happens in there. Andrew was just talking about how it's nice to have smart guys that you can just ask questions to. You don't have to. And I was basically saying that it's like having navigation on my phone nowadays is making me. It's just dumbed down the navigation portion of my brain. Now the Slack is dumbed down the technical portion because I don't actually have to know anything anymore. I can just ask you guys and you'll answer all the questions for me. So jump over there and do the thing. We also have a couple of sponsors. So we are brought to you by Billing and Operational Support System. You want to check them out by popping over to Sonar.Software. We also have Tower Coverage. It's towercoverage.com. Tower Coverage is your RF propagation system to empower your network. Real-time data metrics enable your coverage area, reaching your customer base, and more. The industry's best RF propagation mapping system allows website integration for customer sign-up and pre-qualification. Use this data to scientifically plan network expansion and help your WISP succeed. Get a free trial today at towercoverage.com. All right. So I added almost nothing to the list, so thankfully these two fine gentlemen were kind enough to put some stuff in there. I really have been just kind of blowing and going this week. I guess to give a quick update, last week, Monday, I flew out, went to Oklahoma, of all places. Actually ate at some really nice restaurants. I got to meet most of my Red Hat people for the first. Everybody else was brand new to me, on new faces. It's so weird seeing all of those 2D individuals in 3D for the first time. Yeah. Kind of faces to names, and
it is a weird feeling. It's something I've done a lot of my career where I'm like, oh, and it's awkward at first, but it's a real person. Wow, you're real. Okay, cool. And a decade working with them, you're like, buy a real person and move on.
Yeah. For me, so I flew from there to a summit event, and at that thing, a lot of people were walking up and introducing themselves. I was like, oh, okay. Would you mind just pulling your mask down for a second? And they would do that, and they're like, oh, okay, I know who you are now. Yeah, because it's just it wasn't clicking. Because I've I have not bothered to remember names because I'm just everybody's a little square and it's got their name on there. So now I was like faced with them, right here, like fighting. Because I have not bothered to remember names because I'm just everybody's a little square and it's got their name on there. So now I was like faced with them, right here, like 5 feet apart. And so I had to start learning names. So it was good. I've actually retained most of them, I think.
Yeah, I've found it kind of awkward. I went to a marketing event recently and, got to put my suit coat on and everything. And it's like, whoa, this is just kind of weird seeing people. It's very surreal. I'm like, I know what to think. I just kind of sit there quietly. And do you have any questions? I'm like, yeah. Oh, I'm paying attention. Just,
enjoying other humans.
Yeah.
I get it. So I had a really great time, like going to eat with my team and actually like just getting to swap war stories and stuff. I mean, just that, the whole experience of, being together with other people. It was really cool. And then being in front of the customer was amazing. So this is the first experience. Like I've been doing workshops over Zoom and stuff like that to like 30 black squares, because nobody turns on their camera and whatever. I used to be just as guilty of it until I was on the receiving end of that. So I try and always keep my camera on and stuff like that. But physically seeing those faces, the interaction, it was really awesome. So we were doing a hackathon. And so first things first, we did kind of a day of workshops, which was a lot of fun. I was basically just, I don't know, was vamping, cracking wise, just working the crowd. It was just so much fun. And then we did the hackathon the next day, and we actually got some stuff that they were like chucking into production, like towards the end of the day. So it was just, I don't know, exhilarating, I think is the best word for it. Just, I don't know, to get in there and perform in front of a live public audience there, it was different, and I really enjoyed it.
It's kind of surreal and awkward. I remember at one point in my career where I actually had to learn to talk to a teleprompter. And awkward. I remember at one point in my career where I actually had to learn to talk to a teleprompter. It's the most awkward thing ever. And, I don't think I'll do it again.
That sounds awkward.
It was very awkward, but, you do what you got to do to make your client happy and,
Yeah,
I'd rather play ISP than do that. So just put it that way.
I get to do the teleprompter thing at LinkedIn Learning for like my very first courses, and it is so difficult for me to like read very much without screwing up. I had to do it over and over, and eventually they just gave up and like cut video in between of my screw ups. So that was awesome. And half the time I was squinting because they like didn't want me to wear my glasses because of the glare. So I was trying to get my way through it. I was also kind of like running out of breath. I don't know what was wrong. Anyway, it's not like I went up a flight of stairs or anything. Let's see. Yeah. So let's get to the stuff. Nobody wants to hear about me just running around having fun. Email related shenanigans that recently gone around, and actually, surprisingly enough, several guys inside the Slack channel actually saw this, and I know it was on the WISP Talk Facebook group. I know it's been, I think it was even on Nanog. It's been bouncing around everywhere. But there was a bomb threat being sent through. I don't know why I laughed at that. It's a serious matter. But it was like kind of this really poorly written email saying that they've placed bombs in your data center and they're going to blow them up or whatever. And they were sourced, they were saying that like you had to send money to Frantech or something like that. And apparently they were just a target of a smear campaign. At least that's what Frantech is saying. But I saw that like a couple of people like had to take it serious, and they like had to evacuate their facilities and all kinds of stuff. So that super sucks. But Mikey, didn't you say, I think it was you who said that they scraped it? What was it that they pulled it from? Was it PeriodDB or something?
For the bomb threats I don't remember. One of the a couple of these other ones I recall, but that one I don't remember for sure.
And what I was just wondering is how effective of a smear campaign is that? That seemed like so pointless. Because I mean, almost everybody was laughing at it. That it was just ridiculous. And then as soon as the collaborative information started coming together, everybody realized that it was a hoax. So, like, what did they think was going to happen from that? All it did was give them free advertising. Seems like.
Well, people that do this aren't smart. I mean,
they're not really thinking it through. You mean?
I mean, they're smart in some ways, but yeah, thinking it through is not one of their strong points. As one of their strong points. As some of these other email campaigns kind of show, there was one that was where somebody took advantage of a bad HTML form on an FBI site and was sending out emails from the FBI to, I believe they scraped it from Aaron's database. And it was like, the email was actually sourced from an FBI server. So,
right.
So, none of your traditional spam, anti-spam things would have really caught it, other than, based on content. And in the content, they didn't, there was no links anywhere. They didn't tell you to go do anything. It was just like, it was a, if I recall correctly, it was a, poorly written email as well, but it was like, you compromised, sort of. I mean, an FBI system, and all you did was send out bad emails that didn't have any, call to action, wasted opportunity. You actually could have done something with it.
Do it.
Right, yeah. I mean, most of the punishment's the same, if there is one. So just do it and maybe get something out of it.
Well, what would you recommend they do next time?
I don't know that I can publicly say anything.
You don't want anything coming back. I get. Oh, well, you just don't want to you don't want to spoil the surprise. I get it.
But it's just, you get spam all the time with cons people are running. But other spam we've gotten recently. I got a bunch, and as I started asking around, a bunch of other guys got them as well.
I think we lost Mikey there. He finally gave up the ghost. Well, such is life.
Oh, I dropped 2 packets.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a lot more than 2, sir.
I've got ping, a constant ping going. Only 2 of them dropped, so I don't know what else happened. Maybe there's some going on. But someone was just scraped or did sales and support type emails. Sent out a bunch of them that said your network sucks. It was because you're not running IPv6. I asked Nick B if he was behind that, and unfortunately he was not.
Yeah, not that he would admit to it, because again, it spoils all the fun.
Because
again, it spoils all the fun.
I guess there's one more email thing that happened. There was, I'm not quite sure what the common point was, but there was a bunch of groups sending emails. I'm not sure what the target lists were. Trash talking each other, more or less. Somebody was saying, go to this IRC server, channel this. Someone else was saying, /r/homelab sucks. Somebody was saying, Betty's not a good security expert. Just groups of people arguing with each other via the world's email accounts. And they were just going to all kinds of crap. I mean, I would say across all the different companies I'm affiliated with, I probably got no less than 2,000 of those emails of just people arguing with each other. I don't get it. It's just why does the world need to know this? Again, there was no call to action that actually got these people anything out of it. It was just compromised email servers and doing weird stuff.
Maybe they have nothing better to do.
Maybe. But it just seems like, there's at least 4 different email campaigns lately that happened that don't really make a lot of sense.
The dying art, I should say.
Yeah, it, I guess, well, I guess maybe, if you had call to actions in there, maybe that would trip some of the anti-spam filters and be more likely to get caught. If you've got links to tiny URL sites or something like that, all the things that you would normally use to, obfuscate who you are, maybe that's why they didn't include them, because they just wanted to be annoying. They didn't actually want anything out of it.
Just want to be a nuisance. I get it.
Which they were successful.
So I seriously doubt we've seen the last of that stuff, and it'll obviously keep going. Yeah, I saw. I think it was on one of the lists, and somebody was saying about something that stuck out to me with a Frantech email. They were saying about something that stuck out to me with a Frantech email. They were like, one person was, maybe it was on the Reddit post or whatever. This one guy was saying, yeah, it's so ridiculous. We just completely ignored it. This other guy's like, we have a policy in place. We can't ignore it. And he's like, what? He goes, yeah, I live in Ireland. So I was like, oh, yeah, that actually does kind of make sense. It seems as though they have a little bit of a history with that kind of stuff. So, yeah, as benign as it may seem, like for some people, I guess it triggers some warning bells that they just can't ignore. So that super sucks for those folks. Anyway, that's all I know about that. Something else I noticed, somebody posted it with the cry emoji. There is a Mikrotik forum post, and they were talking about ZeroTier, and they're like, hey, is this ever going to come to MIPS BE or maybe the CHR stuff? And Mikrotik says, like, for now, or I can go in there and look, but they basically said right now it's only supported on the ARM. And I guess that's because they have a package they could just chuck on and not have to think about it. But what did he say? We can only do it for ARM systems. No plans for MIPS now. So they're saying it's not even on the roadmap, and they never even responded to the CHR question, which to me, CHR seems like one of the first ones you'd put it on, or as well, right? Like the ARM thing makes sense, but then your CHR could be like your aggregator for some of that stuff, like kind of in data center systems, or, people are using it in the high performance kit. But maybe they say no plans for MIPS, which to me, there's a lot of their infrastructure is running on that, although a lot of the new kit really is focusing on the ARM, the stuff that's pushing a few more packets. So I don't know, maybe that doesn't bother me as much as I was thinking it would. But I would like to see it on CHR, because I do use the CHR stuff. Do you feel like this is going to bite you guys?
No, actually, I had this exact same issue trying to deploy to a client, because we can't use. You have to use OpenVPN does not work with Mikrotik over UDP.
Oh yeah, it's TCP only.
Yeah, so I ended up going with Sophos because that worked.
I did the trick.
I did the trick.
Yeah, I would like. I've only run into really wanting, or maybe not wanting, really needing the UDP OpenVPN a couple of times, right? Like you get higher throughput. That's one of the main things, right?
Yeah. I have a lot of clients who use it. They're lawyers, real estate people, developers. They need to access their files at the server, but it works really well for the time being. Until something else comes out.
I know, like Nick A and Nick B are both big advocates of ZeroTier, so I'm sure many a tear will be shed over this. Although I don't know, I know, well, Nick Arellano for sure is going to be upset about that, because he likes to use that stuff everywhere, and he wants to deploy it on every piece of kit so that it comes back for his management plane. He wants to have it all accessible through there. So the fact that he's not going to be able to, I'm sure, burns him a bit, at least. For now. They say no plans for MIPS. That doesn't mean it won't make it to the roadmap at some point as this stuff gets. You know what? It could be because ZeroTier is version 7 only. And since there was an ARM package, it was easy to slide in there. And so maybe they're focusing on other V7 features before they bother with that, right? Like get the meat and potatoes out before you start messing with the garnish and stuff like that. Maybe it's one of those things. So I would be curious to see how that goes. Something else I noticed, somebody else posted, it might have been Andrew Thrift, I think, that put it in there. But it's this Labs of Latvia website, and it's talking about Mikrotik. And they had a little bit of a breakdown of their customers, like their revenue and stuff like that, where do different portions come from. And it actually said that the U.S. is the largest market for Mikrotik. And I was just looking at some of the other numbers, and we're the largest. Like, if you compare us to other markets, we're generally double what the other markets are producing, which really surprised me, because we've always traditionally thought of, like, we're like, basically in general, whenever you're talking about Mikrotik wireless, like the outdoor stuff, you're like, oh, they're not making it for the U.S. market. So it's not the wireless, the outdoor wireless stuff that's getting that margin. It's got to be routers, wireless wires, maybe HAP stuff. It's definitely switches, because I see a lot of people deploying those nowadays. But then the higher end routing, that really surprised me. I figured we were going to be a lot of people deploying those nowadays, but then the higher end routing, that really surprised me. I figured we were going to be, somewhere
one of
like
their LTE antennas, and they work really well. They're about $179 US, so they're a little pricey, but I can get 100 by about 60 at most cell sites. So it's great for backup.
That's nice. And that's did you say the WAP LTE or something else, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, it's the LTE 6 kit from Mikrotik, but I don't know exactly. That's the only one I've tried.
Okay. So don't they have, like the WAP is like the WAP form factor. So really, it looks like a big pill. And then they have the ones they have like the dish based one, right? For long distance.
Mine's the parabolic dish, the actual mesh dish. Yeah.
So I haven't used any of those, but that's supposed to be good for long range, right?
Yeah, but only going 3,000 feet. It's not very far.
Okay. Just higher gain, more throughput, huh?
Yep.
Right. Rock and roll. So it is effective. I haven't used one. I've only ever out of band management. So I think they would ask me questions if I mounted a big dish inside.
Doing it on a wall.
Yeah. But normally I get enough signal, like with just the WAP LTE or whatever, to get it to stay up. Occasionally it'll flap. Usually when I'm inside of a building, it'll flap at least once a day. But I mean, what do I really care? If I'm just SSHing in through it or whatever.
For backup, it's all it's for. It's like something crashed, can't get in. Why'd the fiber go down? Cool. We're still in line.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, were you surprised by that number, Mikey?
I don't know, because I've kind of taken a devil's advocate approach to that. People for years have been saying, a lot of Mikrotik products are targeted for the, more cost-sensitive markets, and that's why they don't usually have the kind of things that we're looking for, because it would push the products to a price point that their main markets wouldn't accept. And my counter to that was always, well, look at the CCR series. That's compared to that's not a emerging market product, and so I was kind of looking through here at their wireless systems products page, looking at LHG2, LHG5, and so on, and all the different integrated CPE they have, and that's like they're all under $100 an item. One of them, this LHG 2 is only $58 list price, $58. You compare that to your entry level CCR, 2000s are 20 times that in price. And working your way up the CCR line, your 1072 is 50 times that. So it's like, okay, you deploy a lot of CPE, not too many, big core routers, but the big core routers are much more expensive than those CPE, and we're not deploying the CPE. We're deploying, most WISPs that I know are running Mikrotik routers and so you've got each item you sell is 20, 30, 40, 50 times more expensive. It doesn't take long to be in the higher dollar game.
Yeah, and I assume too, like the stuff we're using as like a tower router is going to be like a core router low in some of those areas that, just something that's small and insignificant to us is probably fairly substantial to them.
But like what I drew from that though wasn't so much. I mean, I would like to see more information come out because they only listed, I don't know, half dozen countries, countries in there, something like that. It would be nice to see where we break down compared to more alternatives, but some probably incorrect conclusions that I did draw though is a comparison to Ubiquiti. So Ubiquiti has then 4 times the annual revenue as Mikrotik. Ubiquiti has then 4 times the annual revenue as Mikrotik. Which actually I thought it was going to be much worse than that. So it just kind of goes to show that a lot of Ubiquiti's flares, just flares, not so much substance. But then taking the market cap of Ubiquiti, I think it was like a $16 billion company. That put Mikrotik at being a $4 billion company. Now I know it's not as flashy, so that's probably why it wouldn't translate the same. But it's like, oh, that's a hell of a lot bigger than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, and what did they say? Like in that article, this was like the I didn't know if it was revenue or profit this year. That's a pretty substantial increase on either one, no matter which one you're looking at. That's still pretty substantial.
Yeah, I think it was revenue, but it's kind of interesting seeing how I guess what the rest of my sentence was going to be. I don't remember. I just lost it. I read something on my screen and I totally lost what I was going to say.
Well, it also, thinking about that, it makes me wonder if we have, a sizable chunk of the market. Obviously, it's not like just so much bigger than everybody else's. Does that mean we have a little bit more say, a little bit more pull into what makes it into the product lines? I wonder, are they going to build a little bit more towards the U.S. market? And it sounds like they're already doing that, right? Like the switches we've been begging for ages are finally here. They're teasing the 100 gig interface stuff, which I doubt those really small markets have any interest in that kind of infrastructure.
My
certainly
wholesaler, whose name I won't say, locally is building a warehouse, and they're going to become a very large Mikrotik distributor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and that's all I know so far.
Well, it's convenient. It's convenient having that stuff close. So like ISP supplies is quite literally like 13 minutes from my house, so I can always just go and pick up product really quick.
These guys are a couple hours, but it's a fun drive, so why not?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, well, ironically, I need product far less now than I did before, and now they've got, I think they just double the size of their warehouse and everything over here, so it would have been convenient for me, but also with all the shortages and stuff, there's going to be a lot of empty shelves, I assume. Hopefully that gets rectified really soon. But yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, are we going to see more product that kind of speaks to the U.S. market, or the things that we scream the loudest about, are those going to get addressed a little bit quicker? Hopefully.
I think we will. I think as more ISPs come online, I think that's going to drive the last mile end user market on, well, how do I hook up? How do I get online?
Yeah.
I bet, kind of tangenting off of that, Greg, I bet that the international people are just loving that. They're like, oh, great, just what the Americans need. They need more confidence that their opinion matters.
No. We already knew it mattered. This is just confirmation. That's all this is.
But up Cambium's financials for last year, and looks like Mikrotik is about a third bigger than Cambium in terms of revenue.
Is that a surprise to you?
Yeah, actually it is. Because Cambium has lots of expensive stuff. Expensive, but not like, Ferraris are expensive, but nobody has one, or you buy just a couple. Like the people I know that have Cambium, they're the biggest WISPs in the area with the expensive equipment, because that's how, traditionally you could only become a big WISP if you used Cambium. So it is kind of shocking see that Mikrotik is ahead of them. But Cambium has no routers, and they're just getting into switches. So that's 278 million wireless. So I don't know. It is interesting.
Interesting. All right. Well, while we're talking about hardware, somebody was playing with OpenVPN on Grandstream. Who was that?
So I've got a problem where I have resellers of my VoIP service that are deploying them in such a way that I don't know what they're doing, but their connections break down. Where they just can't get through to us. I don't know if they're doing something funky on their routers with NAT helpers or what, but I'm getting crap on my side. So I was like, okay, well, let's look at these Grandstreams. They say they have OpenVPN support, so let's get that going. Having never used OpenVPN before, so on my Proxmox, well, actually, my other guy Glenn, he did it first, but I was working with then. There's a template on there called Turnkey OpenVPN. Seemed pretty self-explanatory, but they didn't provide the information that the Grandstream was asking for. They just, here's a file, load it into the client. Well, Grandstream doesn't work that way, and it wasn't obvious what some of the information was. So then it's like, well, screw it. We'll get rid of that VM. Let's turn up the official OpenVPN, server installations. And that, there's still one piece of information that Grandstream asks for that I don't know where it comes from. But that, there's still one piece of information that Grandstream asks for that I don't know where it comes from. But a lot of shortcomings in the Grandstream approach that they don't really. So logging is terrible. There is no onboard logging. It sends it all to syslog. So I spend a couple days turning up syslog servers. Why I say a couple days is because everything we had so far was all meant for things in-house, not out-of-house. So then put IPs, and then their IP changes on the other side, so you can only get half the log or whatnot. So running through that, and then I was like, well, let's look at something brand new syslog server. Okay, well, this comes through, it's a nice GUI, I guess, in Security Onion. I've heard of that. Let's deploy Security Onion for syslogging. Kibana is a terrible tool to get down in there and actually dig into what's going on, because you've got 4 screens worth of junk before you see what the message is, and it's entirely possible that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it means it's a terrible tool for me because I don't know, I couldn't easily figure out what the logs were. So then I deployed something else, Graylog, and that was much easier to see what the logs were. which is only as useful as far as Grandstream. They don't really do anything in the logs regarding VPN. Like I searched VPN, just the 3 letters. Show me all VPN-related syslog messages. And I would get 1 from the last time it rebooted saying VPN in it. That's it. So I don't know what it's doing. And when I put the setting, all the settings and things into the web interface and hit apply, they all go away. Now it could be because they're passwords and certificate keys and stuff, but there's no indication that I have something saved. So I don't know if the unit is saving the information that I'm putting into it. I did do an export. Some of it was there, but it was not. By the way, the config exports are junk because they're like there's not a field that says syslog server equals blah. It's just some seemingly random numbers or letters indicating something that no one outside of Grandstream understands. So all I could do was just do a diff. What changed from a completely blank installation to an installation where I just added this information? Okay, so the server's entered. There's a username entered. Don't know the rest. So I am just giving up and just telling them we're not going to support it. I was like, no, we're not. Because ultimately they're trying to do fax, and the fax wasn't working. So fax over internet's bad enough. We couldn't figure out why, and I'm like, we're just not.
Did you ever think about doing a packet capture on their end?
So I did a packet capture just before I got mad enough to say, I'm done. So like I have it, I loaded it, and then I'm like, you know what? I spent too much time on this. I'm not going to make any money back for the time that I've spent. We're just going to stop doing it. And so instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to pursue a resale agreement with the telcos and just install an actual POTS line if they need to fax. Never got away with it again. Because I see so many people trying to skin the cat so many ways for fax over internet, and it almost always fails in some way, shape, or form. You may run a few test faxes through, it works great, and then someone tries to send, like, I transitioned doctors about 5 years ago, and I asked for my medical records to be transferred to the new doctor. Like 6 months later, they didn't have it. And so I went back to the old doctor to figure out what was going on. And I don't remember everything they said, but what I took out of it was that they were faxing it. Faxing. You're faxing 35 years of medical history to somebody else. I can't imagine how large that fax is. But it's probably going to fail if you're doing it over IP. So I'm like, and again, it's not that there's not a way to solve the problem.
It's hard to solve.
How much time and effort do I put in to solve the problem? And like I've seen boxes where people do it over consumer grade satellite. So that sounds like a great technical solution, but then there was something else wrong with it. Like the company had bad support or something else didn't work right, and so it's like, well, I can't do that either. So I was like, you know what, just get a copper POTS line installed. We'll sell you everything else. We'll sell you the PBXs and this and this and this, and we'll sell you a POTS line from AT&T, just so that the return on the investment for me, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Just no more. Now, on that, we do fax over IP with Grandstream, with Zone, with other stuff, but it's all on net. It's all, we put it onto its own VLAN. Give it, voice prioritization. And everything works great because there's no NAT, there's no congestion, there's no nothing, there's no jitter, there's no. It just works. Off net?
I mean, that's the internet's best effort.
Not doing it again.
And you can't always predict what what's going to happen to that stuff, or what what their queuing policy will do to the packets or anything. It's yeah, I get it.
I went
I've
to a
heard,
company
I've
to
heard
do
people
all
do
my
nothing
phones.
but complain about fax over IP.
Fax is really difficult. I went to a company to do my faxes for my clients, and it works out for them. They're happy.
It's I thought about some of these eFax solutions, but there will be customers that eFax isn't good enough. You've got to have the original. You have to have the old school fax machine. And I'm like, I'm not going to do an 85%. I'm not going to do, well, we'll use this sometimes and then still have the same problem for the guy that has to do. So it's like, you know what? No, we're just going to get pot. I don't care if I even lose money on each one that I sell, because the time invested in making a solution work is just not worth it.
And then documenting it so you can fix it later when it breaks.
It's funny. It makes me think of so on the plane back from Chicago a couple of days ago, I had some episodes of Seinfeld.
Chicago.
I came to Chicago. I flew into Chicago, met with my team, and then the next morning I did the event, and then I was with my team, and then I left at like ass crack early in the morning. So it was like go. I didn't want to. I mean, I know a couple of people up there. I didn't get to see anybody because it was like 100 miles an hour flat out the whole time, and then get pull the pin on the grenade, throw it down, and then get the heck out of there. So don't feel bad.
Now I say that, but I've listened to a voicemail from Tom Smith. He called me the other day, and I've been too busy to call him back. So
anyway, so I was listening to an episode of, or not listening. I was watching an episode of Seinfeld, and it was the one where like Elaine's dating this guy who like gets furniture from Carl Fardman or whatever. And so, Jerry, what's your fax number? I'll have my office send a copy. And Elaine goes, he doesn't have a fax machine. Sorry. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, that was like the new hotness, the height of technology in whatever it was, like 1997 when this episode came out. And here we are, just trying to cobble together a solution to make that ancient technology continue to function.
Yeah. And the thing is like, if the Grandstream OpenVPN worked fine or easily, quick tangent off of that. So I'll go to the Grandstream forum, see how you make this work. And in the category for the ATAs, there was 2 posts that mentioned OpenVPN. I was the third. One of them was a feature request. Please add OpenVPN support. And one of them was a change log saying, we've added this functionality to OpenVPN. So there's mine saying, how do you make this work? And then I haven't read it all, but then there was some passive-aggressive mention coming back from the other side. One of the comments was, why don't you go seek your nearest professional if you can't figure out how to make this work? And I'm just like, really? I haven't responded, but it's just, if I've explained to you all the things that I did, including diffing the config files, I'm not a slouch. The product just sucks. I even asked, hey, do any of the other products use the same software and have a similar UI so then I can maybe use their... No, they're like, go find a professional. They're like, all right, I will throw this in the garbage.
Clearly, they are not the professionals.
Yeah. It's like, because we know.
Oh, you did.
Hey, it was my turn to stop working.
I was gonna say, like, Greg Soul left, like, that's difficult. So, is the recording okay? Still happening? Do you know?
No, the recording on my machine is, and I just told Skype to start recording again.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure how much of that you got, but yeah, someone said I'm not professional and or not a professional because I don't know the nuances of a product that's poorly documented. Oh, speaking of poor documentation. See, this is what happens. I'm gone from the show. Like I've only been on the show like 3 times the past 6 months because I've been busy. I get lots of complaining in when I'm on. Grandstream documentation blows. You open up the admin guide. It's 70, 80 pages. And all they do is just, they take, here's one column that has the, this is what you're looking at. And then the next column is supposed to be the explanation. Only it's just a copy and paste of what the field name was. It's just like, OpenVPN username. This is the username for OpenVPN. Really? But, like, that's self-explanatory, but you get into the complicated things, and, like, that's all the detail you get. Is just, you want to know what, unicorn, horns are? Well, that's a unicorn horn. One useful thing, though, I didn't see many other places, is it'll tell you the maximum number of characters. It'll say, maximum 27 characters in this field. So that's nice. But the documentation's useless to tell you what's a required field, what's not a required field. I don't know. Anyway, we should probably move on from Grandstream because
you've beat him to a pulp.
I'll probably complain the rest of the night about them.
Okay.
It was a great product back in the day.
And I went with it because lots of people suggested it, and I remembered it from back in the day, and I was like, okay, well, if it still has legs, it must be all right. But apparently, with the decline of what would I say, residential third-party VoIP, or bring VoIP to your own system type thing, where ATAs would be useful. It looks like they just stopped developing useful things for ATAs because the market demand for them has dropped. 10, 15 years ago, they were the hotness. Now it's like, what do you need that for? Just get an decked cordless phone with IP built in, or a desk phone with SIP, or stop using S1 at all and just use our Windows client or our Android client or whatever. So I guess being an ATA manufacturer, it's not as glorious as it used to be. For some value of glory, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still successfully using a Grandstream or two here or there, but I'm not doing anything advanced. I'm not trying to use OpenVPN or anything crazy. I'm just connecting to a SIP provider. It's done. Like, that's it. Just go. So yeah, I
pick up the phone and it works. I'm happy.
For that it seems to be fine. I guess I haven't skewed much from the path. So
it's as I said, we've got several of them where, like, we've got clients that they don't want an IP PBX, or they and so they they just want POTS lines delivered, and so we can only get 4 on our ONTs.
Why?
So we go drop in, you drop in an 8-port Grandstream to get them the rest of the count that they need. Well, I could get a higher port count ONT, but it goes from like $300 to like $2,700, and I'm like, nope, I'll just buy a bunch of Grandstreams, thank you. Because then when they're on net and not doing fax, they work fine.
What are they using them for? If for just the regular on net stuff, would that be like in somebody's office they want just like a regular wireless phone or something like that?
Yeah, it's like one got a Mitel PBX recently, but then their old provider didn't do SIP, so they didn't get the SIP module or something. So now they're stuck with a PBX that has the same technology as an old Meridian phone from the 80s, but they are paying, but they just paid for it, so they don't want to get a new one. So we just all right, here's a bunch of POTS lines. And they're happy with it.
Right.
So as long as they're happy and they pay their bill, I'm also happy.
Right, fair enough. All right, well, let's beat something else to death. How about the smart thermostat line voltage thing? What's that about?
Well, I'm working in my house. And I have Nest thermostats running for the regular furnace and stuff. But in the basement for auxiliary heat, there's a bunch of baseboards. And we're still using the same baseboards and the same thermostats from when the house was built 45 years ago. And it's like, well, upstairs, it's pretty intelligent. What can we do downstairs? But the problem is that most smart thermostats are not rated for line voltage, meaning 120 or 240 volt. They're just running off of, I think 24 volt is what the standard thermostat is. So then your market for a thermostat really dwindles down. So I found one. My wife found one, and then someone else in our Slack actually sent me one as well. But now it's going to get complicated because they're in the basement. We don't go to the basement very often right now. But most smart thermostats, if they have some sort of home or away presence type, functionality, it's for the home as a whole. Well, I don't go to the basement often, so I don't want them doing things when I'm not home because I'm not even, or if I'm home but not downstairs. So now I got to try to figure out how to tie in some sort of presence sensor that tells it to, if no one's in the room, don't do anything. But if somebody is in the room, then do whatever you would normally do. So I got a bit of a project in front of me, I guess. If anyone has worked with that, let me know.
Fair enough. All right. How about the cnMaestro serial upgrades?
So I've been, lack of a better term, I've been crapping on cnMaestro for quite some time. In that it takes a very different configuration approach compared to Unify. If I want to build and configure a bunch of units for a Wi-Fi deployment, Unified's nice, pretty GUI. I can do this, I can do that. There's a bunch of options I can click. Do I want to do this or do I want to do that? And type in a password and away you go. Historically, cnMaestro has been drop the text config of what you want in the box and I'll make it happen. They don't really help you figure out what it is that you want to do. However, I was running on cnMaestro version 1.61, which was old. A year and some change ago when I tried to upgrade the last time, it was very old at that time. On cnMaestro, I know it's a really old version. Maybe they've made it better. So last weekend, I spent most of the weekend upgrading not that I just sat here watching it all day, but most of the weekend upgrading my cnMaestro installations. Because there's a series, I forget what the word is now, but for upgrading in a specific order, an upgrade progression, where I had to go from what I had to version 1.
Sequential.
Yes. From what I had to 1.6.3. And then from there to whatever. And on and on and on. And the problem with that is that they distributed the major version as an OVA, which is fine. I love OVAs because they're very easy. Just click, install, done. Except for at some point they decided to start Like they've done something. It's actually kind of interesting. It looks like, kind of like you'd find out in a lot of networking gear. Dual partitions, and they will tell you, this version of cnMaestro is in partition 1, and this version of cnMaestro is in partition 2. And they want you to upgrade through the web GUI. The problem is that now you're going to upload a 3 gig OVA into the cnMaestro web server, which kept failing. Okay, well, I found in the instructions there was a CLI command you could run, so I would run that. Except I couldn't actually get the file into the server, through SFTP. So I look, and the folder that they put the files that you upload in, or not the folder, the file system, wasn't large enough to accommodate the 3 gig OVA that I was uploading. Which I found it quite odd that the supported way, it wouldn't make the file system large enough to accommodate it. So I had to create. Now they had 60 some odd gigs free on a different file system, so I had to create a path over there, give it rights to the user that then would, because you had to be a certain user then to do the upgrade, which didn't have permissions to the other file system. So there was a bunch of back and forth I had to do to finally get it in there. But I've worked my way up to version 3. It's better. There's more stuff. It's not what I'm looking for. But before I complain too much on it, I have to give it some honest time to take what it is, because that's the thing Unify has going for it. It is stupid simple to operate. And I've been using Mikrotik for 20 years. Almost 20 years, I guess. And so it's not that I can't handle a complicated system. It's finding other people to work a system is much easier when the system itself is much easier. If I want, a CSR level person to be able to look and see, hey, what's customers called in. I can go look to see what's wrong before I tell somebody, hey, this is broken. Can I do that on cnMaestro? No. A Mikrotik? No. On Unify? Yeah, they could. So for me to not use Unify for my managed, infrastructure offerings that I do, I'd have to hire an actual network engineer to do frontline customer support, because I couldn't expect, or be Nick Arlano and completely build my whole dashboard front end, to front end every little system and present it in a nice, pretty way. I'm not that guy.
Few people are.
But so either it's build my own system to API call everything to figure it out, or just use Unify, or hire smarter people. But smarter people are more expensive and harder to find.
Yeah, we all know your number one attribute is how cheap you are. So makes sense.
Well, I just look it up to my idol. No, but I know, but it's been hard for us, even being just outside Chicago. It's like, which might actually be worse, because all the smart people, other than Nick Arlano and myself, have gone to Chicago, but we're not far enough away where it's like, Chicago is really far away, so I'm just going to stay here. So there's kind of a brain drain in this area of smart people, and so finding sysadmins, network engineers is difficult. Even in the town that the office is in, the median income is like 45,000 or so, 40 to 45,000. So it's not an expensive place to be. and we were offering 80. Couldn't get anything. Offering almost double what the median household income was for one person, and we were getting help desk jockeys. And I was like, no, I want a guy that's turnkey. Here it is, here's a manual for this platform because you haven't used the platform. Now work. And those people aren't there. So I need a system that's easy.
Yeah, makes sense. That's interesting. So you'd basically have to fight Chicago for somebody. So you'd have to find somebody. I mean, do you want somebody physically there? So you'd have to have them physically move so they could touch, poke, and prod things, or are you looking for a remote?
Remote is fine. I do want somebody that can actually, the server's broken. Go fix the, go physically reboot the server because I'm, busy doing something, higher level. But like, they can work from home as long as home is close enough. But like, hiring somebody from the Philippines wouldn't really work.
That's what you could.
I like to think that if I was farther away, that like, the smart people wouldn't want to move too far away. Because it's like, oh well, they'd be leaving their family and their friends and so on, so they just stay where they are, which is probably why there's a lot of how a lot of rural WISPs have come to be, and that they were the smart IT guy in the area, and he did and they didn't want to leave their family and friends, so they started a WISP.
That's what I did.
But like I'm a 1 hour drive from my house, and I am in downtown Chicago. So it's like, well, I can stay here and go work anywhere in the Chicago suburbs and make a lot more than 80,000. I'm not competing with the area. I'm competing with, Google or whoever else has an office in Chicago, or the law firm that has 400 attorneys, or insert whatever big company that's in the suburbs. That's what I'm competing with. I'm not competing with the pork slaughterhouse down the street.
So proximity is your enemy, is what you're saying.
In this case, yeah. At least that's my current hypothesis. I guess I won't really know until I get somebody else in. Well, I did hire one other guy. He's from a few states away. He actually relocated, but I need more than that. So
yeah, fair enough. All right, well, you heard it. Mike's putting out a call. Go work for him. While we're talking about people and the reasons they start doing the stuff they're doing, I was thinking this would be a good opportunity for us to probe Andrew and learn a little bit about his background and what actually brought him to, find the group and participate and all that good stuff.
Thinking about it now, I don't remember how I think I just online looking at Spotify, I found a podcast, found Slack. I'm like, oh, great. And that alone was really what kind of drove this dream of, we have a couple of competitors in our area. We have municipal fiber from the county, very expensive for the people who want to provide the fiber because you're a reseller paying retail rates, selling retail. It's frustrating. And then you have your big cable companies, telephone companies, and that's really it. So I figured, why don't I just go and get fiber and put it up on a building and sell it to people? That's where it started. And that's this kind of where this has been 2.5 years in the works with branding, getting to know the community a bit more. I've lived here most of my life. I moved away for a couple years and I came back. And I'm like, I got to do something other than I'm here to fix your computer or hook up your network, or, it's a small town. So there's a lot of work here. And the internet, it sucks. It's no fun. So I wanted to do something about it. And so far, we've lit up one customer as a reseller, and we have a point-to-point goes to another business. So that now takes money to go and actually run our own and light up our building. So slow process, but getting there.
All right. So you make it sound like your background is doing like PC support, network support, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 21 years in IT.
All right.
So
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And if you're still taking those frontline calls and going and doing that stuff, you are a better man than me.
You gotta roll up your pant legs, and you gotta put your boxing gloves on, and you gotta know you've got the Karens out there and everyone else. They're gonna get mad, but at the end of the day, people are people, and as long as their service doesn't go down, which we try very hard for that not to happen, but sometimes it does. Not yet. And pricing being fair, small community, local. You're calling someone in your own town, not 15 doors down, states down. So I think there's a lot to be said about community broadband, I guess would be a good word for it. I think it should exist everywhere. So one of our goals is as we build this cookie cutter and the different vendors, big telecoms we're working with, we want to go and cookie cutter it everywhere and say, hey, George out of middle of Oklahoma or whatever, hey, we found fiber for you. Do you want to go start a WISP?
Gotcha. So are you doing kind of like an MSP/WISP thing?
Yeah.
So you're going to be kind of a one-stop shop then.
Yeah, but I want to find other people to become one-stop shops too. It's like let's share this model. Let's share it because it's about community, right? If you can get your community to survive through this pandemic and everything, as an internet provider or computer repair, why can't anyone else do it? Just give them the tools and show them how to do it. So it's kind of one of our goals is we like to educate our customers and take advantage of this.
That's cool, man. That sounds sort of like the open source mentality. Right, it's like we'll develop a system. I'll share it with the world. I'm still selling it. You can still buy from me, but here it is. That's pretty cool. That's pretty noble. Aren't you afraid your guy next door is gonna steal your formula and sell it out from underneath you?
No, because your customer service is where you win. Yeah. If you serve people and you take care of them, and your network comes first, and your customers come at the same second, but at the same time they come first, then you'll do well. So we strive to do well and understand that sometimes trees fall down and things break, and there's backups to make sure that doesn't happen. But it's a real challenge because you got to hit a price point where you're not crazy high and you're not super low because you can't oversell yourself or undersell yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something somebody said to me a long time ago is man, I don't want to leave any money on the table, right? It's like like in business, you want to try and get as much possible profit as you can out of it, but when you're dealing with end users, I mean, one, you've got to compete with the big guys, and generally that's not so hard to do, especially like doing the wireless stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
the fiber's a little tougher though.
Yeah,
but you've got the open access, but then we sell an open access, but then I don't. It's tough because you sell wireless one price and you sell fiber another price because you have to make money. It's like, how do you explain it to people? It's like, I can do fiber, but you're going to pay the same bandwidth costs as the wireless, but we can do you a deal. We'll give you a bigger port sort of deal. So it works out. That's kind of the idea. It's a challenge though when we've got big telecom and big pockets and
Yeah. Well, if the
I enjoy it.
the big guys are kind of subpar in your area, that always helps your marketing as well, right?
And they're kind of helping out too. That's the weird part about it is you get people like, the big Lumens of the world say, "What do you want to do? I need this to go here." Yeah, we got you here. Here's some money. Oh, okay. So it just happened. And that's kind of where I've been. And now we are like, I'd say 75% from lighting up our 10 gig hub because we already have a 1 gig commit. Now we're going to go to 10. And then once we hit 10, we'll go to 100.
That's cool.
That's
cool. I was getting pricing on a new service in a new area, and the carrier was like, the guy I'm using to get the fiber out there, that's just going to get transport or whatever. They were like, it's actually, we got to do a pretty good bit of construction, so the base we're going to have to really charge you, it's like they have this formula they have to follow. It's like, we're going to look at this. He's like, so we could give you 5 gig with a free 10 gig upgrade. And I said, well, why don't you just say it's 10 gig? He goes, because it's 5 gig with a 10 gig upgrade. It's like,
yeah.
It's like,
that's what I had
just
to do.
call it
And
10,
that's the way it
dummy.
is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't want me to. It's like the cost of 10's like, yeah, you're double what you're paying, probably higher because you're going 10. But yeah, here's your 5 gig commitment on 10 gig. I'll take it. And all I have to do is say, just block it at 5 gig. I figure 5 gig's good to last for a while.
Oh, well, these guys, they're just giving me the full 10. I think it was like a paperwork thing, right? It's like they had to like construct it on paper in that fashion for it to work.
Big telecom that has a meeting about the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was like, whatever, dude. All right. Like, if this is, you know, and so I saw the breakdown and it's legitimate. And I saw like where their pop was in relation. And this place is really rocky. So it's going to be hellacious to get the build in there anyway at that distance. So I was like, you know, I mean, it kind of makes sense. And
yeah.
I was trying to think, you know, it's like, you know, to the end customer is like, you know, I wanted to be able to ramp it. That's what I always try and do, right? Is like when MDU first starts, they're not going to have full occupancy day one, right? It like takes time. So if I can start with a smaller price tag and then ramp that up as needed, it's so much easier to sell the service or to sell myself, you know? But I was thinking, well, this is a marketing opportunity. They could say they've got 10 gig to the property and I can have 10 gig distribution everywhere and give everybody a full, you know, so I don't know.
That's how we look at it too. It's like, if we can give you 10 gig and you 10 gig and you 10 gig, everyone else wants 10 gig.
Yeah. So
maybe
let's use it as a marketing opportunity. I'm still,
absolutely.
The project apparently got pushed a little bit. So I haven't gotten in front of them to talk. All I was able to do was just deliver numbers. So supposedly next week maybe, or the week after. Of course.
Is it pretty far away, the property you're doing?
Oh, yeah. It's like 2.5 hours away from me. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah. It's just on the edge of like, I don't want to drive that. So, you know what I mean? Like 5 hours to change an optic or something is not exactly what
I do. 90 minutes. 90 minutes is the max we'll do. It's like, I'm on the edge of the county. Yeah, I can go over a bridge, but I'm not going to go into the city. I'm sorry. You can go find someone over there.
I will quite literally pick up service in another state. If somebody wants to pay me to do it, it's lucrative enough and I can get people in that area, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm just like paying other folks to go out there and do it. You know, I mean, every now and then I'll have one of my guys like actually jump in the car and head that way. So I prefer to just have somebody local if I possibly can. They're teasing that something might come up in like New Mexico or Arizona. I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Am I going to be personally doing? I'm not going to be turning the wrenches, but yeah, sure, we could do the service out there. Yeah.
You know, eventually we'll have internet everywhere, so it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be many thousands. I hope thousands and thousands and thousands of ISPs. I mean, like 10,000 in the U.S. Why can't it be in the business?
Huh.
A lot of smart kids out there.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. Hopefully not too many smart kids, because I don't want them to start doing all. Don't take all my business yet.
Well, you know, as I learn is because I've got a couple business partners. One of them, he's younger, obviously, so the generational gap we have is like, it's frustrating sometimes, but it's the way it is, and you just kind of have to learn people, and understand them and work that way.
Yeah, it seems to me like a lot of it too is it's not lack of talent, a lack of like motivation and wanting to take on the stress associated with doing this kind of stuff, because it's definitely not the easiest thing, especially when it's all on your back, you know, and you know, if things go wrong, you got nobody else to call, so you gotta, you know, you gotta take care of yourself, and so not everybody wants to take that on. Some people want to just move to Chicago, right, Mikey, and then have somebody else, you know, do most of the stressful heavy lifting, and you just come and punch a clock. Which
I enjoy that. I like that. I like the discipline of I have to get out of bed today.
Motivation. I've heard one of the best motivators for that is to get a dog without a doggy door. So that'll definitely get you up in the morning to take care of business.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So you are kind of just getting going. We've kind of watched you from when you were like working on some of your marketing stuff, some of your infrastructure pieces, and now you've, I think a lot of us celebrated with you when you got your first customer.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
That's
like,
cool.
yes, we got them and we made a profit on it. It's like, cool, we broke even on the first circuit. So
That's awesome.
the second one, we have enough in the works now. Well, we'll break even before we even let our first customer up.
That's baller, man.
Nice.
And just go from there. But yeah, we've got some legal contracts to work out with the building owner. You know, I want 15 years of this building, and I want, you know, it's my rooftop and my basement, and you can't have it because otherwise they would already be on there. But access to the rooftop's kind of difficult. It's a hatch 20 feet up on the third floor, no ladder. So
you get to bring your own. Well, it's not like you're gonna have to be up there too frequent anyway.
Well, things go down, things break. I look in your channel, I watch I watch the Slack, and I'm like, oh, well, that went sideways. Wind, you know, things fall over.
Yeah. Or lightning, or rain, or a maintenance guy goes up there and does something. Yeah, it's always something.
Yeah,
there's always something, but
you got to prepare for it. You have to know that could happen. So it's taking time, but you know, we're doing it slow and doing it the right way and doing it really for our community. And there's a lot of people on board. A lot of people, they're like, well, how do I try it? I'm like, you have $100,000? You can try it. Sure. No, it's expensive, but you know, it's once you get past that build cost of running out that, you know, 24 pair fiber, then it's smooth sailing. But it's going to take a couple of years. So I figure, you know, within 3 years, we should be able to drop our expenses and then offer higher speeds at the same rate, ideally.
That's cool, man. Well,
or higher speeds. It depends. Maybe we'll get DOCSIS 4.0 someday. I doubt it. Not out here.
Yeah, I was just say as many times as people complain, like we've reached the limit of this copper, they keep coming up with new ways of extending the life of it. So who knows? But definitely. That's cool. Like how fast are you guys anticipating on growing? I mean, we're right here at the end of the year, but
we're going to grow slow. We're not going to grow super fast because realistically, how many customers can I light up a day? How many holes in the wall can I drill and run a cable and staple it and contract and this and that? And that usually takes time. It's usually about 4 hours a customer doing. We install a lot of networks too, so we'll put these lovely UFOs or Frisbees in people's houses. I'm actually selling them all and they're going away because it was fun, Ubiquity, but I got to go. I can't handle you anymore. Or we're breaking up. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And then, you know, Q panels and whatnot. So, you know, as the wireless part of it comes, it's like, okay, we've got this down.
Wow, it really sounds like you guys are doing kind of almost like a white glove treatment on your installs.
Yeah, and it really is too. And to me, if I'm going to pay somebody for internet, it's, you know, a couple $100 for an install, but you know, you're not getting garbage. You're going to get someone who's like, hey, I'm having an issue. Well, you're not going to have an issue. I hope. We don't know though. You know, RF is a crazy world, and I'm learning a little bit about it every day.
Yeah. I don't even pretend to be an RF engineer like most of the guys in there are. So I definitely reach out to them, whatever. It's one of those things, if you do it as infrequent as I do, I forget everything in between. So it's nice to have resources to just kind of poke at people and ask them quick questions. We figured we build it slow. We've got all of our base foundation done. We're kind of to the point where we're almost ready to open the doors, but not yet. So we got to figure out the customer's CPE end. We got a call next week with Calix to talk about their Wi-Fi 6 AEX equipment, where it broadcasts between antennas with 6 and 2.4 and 5 on the client side. And the entry level market was like a couple $100 for the base, and the pucks were just $100. I'm like, wait a second. But they used the C word, cloud, and I'm like, oh.
Calix loves their cloud. Almost as much as they love billing you for it.
It's not cheap. That's one of the things too. I'm like, okay, at least you're free. You're not free. So if you get hacked, then hopefully you don't. I worry about things like that. But should I worry about it? I think I might be in good hands. So we're going to try them out and see what they might have to offer. But we're to the point where it's like, okay, let's try some stuff. Mikrotik, it's good. It's good hardware. Configuration, though, unless you've got a deployment system down, it takes a bit. And I need to use hardware that's been proven and tested and works. I don't want to play the game of, yeah, we're going to give you new routers next year because we goofed.
Well,
so
I was going to say, your first few customers are probably going to be guinea pigs anyway. And at the pace you're going,
and they are, and they're happy.
Yeah.
They love it. They're like, I get a half gig down on my wireless. I'm like, well, I'd hope so.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the pace you're going, you should be able to get a good feel for things. You know what I mean? Like if you start going, 200 installs a month, things could theoretically get away from you. And, it's like if you need to, switch gears all of a sudden, that could be difficult. But,
some satellite installers that come and help here, drill this hole, run this cable here, hook that up. So that's, I thought about that. And then, of course, for customer service, there's like some companies out there, WISP Assist, I think is one of the biggest ones out there. And they've got amazing customer service. And to me, to answer the phone and to say, yeah, hey, we got you. We're good. So you're having an issue. We're going to take care of you. It's how you talk to your customers. And it's really important to me that they're treated like they're royalty and not another number when you call any other company, in my experience at least. I don't know any of their ISPs and what I've actually personally used, but I haven't been very happy with the response. Unless you're on the enterprise level, then they're like, yeah, got you. Hey, okay, you're good. Oh, cool. Stuff like that. So when you're dealing with like fiber circuits for DIA, and it's just that kind of level of support I appreciate. It's like, wow, I call at 3 a.m. just think, you have a whole department of people who do this. Great. I like this. So there's something to be said about leasing your fiber rather than building it and running your own, because when it breaks, I don't want to be out there at 2 o'clock in the morning in the pouring down rain and wind in the Pacific Northwest trying to splice fiber back together.
Mm-hmm. Or doing your own locates or having to manage that stuff. It's such a pain in the butt.
I want to watch someone else do it and learn how to do it, because I ultimately want to do that for my life. It's like, okay, let the ISP build itself, but I think fiber's the future. I think you connect fiber to things that go fast, like 5G, 6G, 7G, whatever generation will be in the next 50 years. It'll be 50G before you know it.
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, fiber definitely is the future. Whether I want to maintain all that infrastructure myself, only when it makes sense. Because like if I'm going to start doing like onesie twosies, like I'm going to do one in Arizona and then one in Nevada. It's like I don't want to maintain fiber plants in those crazy disparate areas. But if I have high density in one area, like multiple properties, to me that makes sense. And then I can have some local resources, maybe have a locate company and then just have a couple of phone numbers I can call for emergency splice. Just in case.
Just in case, because those kind of things do happen. Like, cool, it's Christmas Eve and something broke. What do we do?
Ugh, yeah, I mean, it's been so many. I've had
the Christmas Eve phone calls, and they're not fun to do. It's like,
yeah, definitely not fun. Yeah, I remember missing Christmas dinner one time at my in-laws' house. I wasn't super mad about it, but then yeah, stuff happens.
It does, and it's kind of when you run a business, you have to be responsible ultimately for your staff and your customers, and it takes a lot of stress to do that. And I have business colleagues I work with who want to put the shoes on, but they're not willing to put both shoes on. It's like you can't go one way, and you got to go both shoes in. You have to answer your phone. Tech support says, Andrew, 2 o'clock in the morning. I've done that before. I've played that game for too many decades, and I don't mind it, especially when it's my own. This is something that I've created, that I've put together and spent years to provide, and I don't mind helping out. That's my problem, is I like to do it.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah. Oof. Good for you, man. I think I would be perfectly happy never taking another support call. Having said that, I do the bulk majority of my support calls. And you know what? It's not that bad. It really isn't.
No.
It's just like when there's a lot of them, I'm not a big fan. But I've gotten my system tuned and tweaked down to where, like, I got the last support call I had was, hey, whenever I turn the TV on, everything goes black. Like even when I try and do the volume and stuff, doesn't work. I was like, well, if the internet to the TV is having a problem, I can help you with that, but it sounds like the TV's broke. She's like, yeah, that's what I told the manager, but they said to call you. I was like, nope, they put the TVs in. They manage all of them because like they're pre-furnished units. She's like, okay, I'll take it back in. So I was like,
wow.
wow, all right, that was an
Yeah,
easy
I
fix.
don't touch TV. TV's a no-no. It's like I don't even want to deal with it. Phone, I give to somebody else, and then internet can handle that.
Yeah. Why just do the internet to these places? It's like,
wow. So you get the calls about the TV, even though you're just the ISP.
yeah, like, oh, I'm connecting the TV wirelessly to the. Well, it's because it's an apartment complex, and so I manage
see.
even the wireless AP they have in there. So if they have any internet problems, they give me a shout. But it's, to be honest, it's the built-in TVs that they got, like the bottom of the basement, cheap ones that they put in. That's where the majority of the calls come from. And I even put in, I put a call handler in that walks them through the basic troubleshooting steps for their TV before they ever get through the support line. So, but it's only like 10 seconds because like 90% of the calls, or maybe more, I was getting were all about those damn TVs. And now that, that it gets taken care of. So I don't have to answer those.
I spent 4 years as with a co-location company as the director of customer service. So I heard it all. I've got lots of colorful language and called many creative things. It's like, I haven't thought of that one yet, but thank you for the creative comment. Hang on 1 second. Let me get someone to help you.
Colo like a data center?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I did about 13 years with a colo group. So
wow, I did 7. I was like, okay, I gotta do my own now.
Yeah, I was doing network engineering, so
guys.
I wasn't necessarily taking those frontline calls.
Yeah.
Well,
it was more of a, hey, when you're done dealing with the customers, can you go and train some new support people, and we need this new salesperson. Okay, let me switch hats real quick. I don't know much hair left, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. One of the biggest things we always pointed out at the end of your job description, it always said other duties as assigned. So there were a lot of other duties. So you did a lot of stuff. And I don't know about for you, but for us, we did a ton of pre-sales work. So we were like the pre-sales engineers. Did you guys actually have sales engineers?
No, it was I answered the phone and sold them, a rack of servers because they wanted to host XYZ.
Oh, okay.
Like, how much you want to spend? All right, cool. I still make profit. That's a good deal. Let's do this.
All right, so you actually were like a sales guy.
Yeah, sales, and then I did support. Okay. And then I did management. And then I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to do some video stuff. So I did video stuff. And then I just like, I don't want to do any of this anymore. I'm going to go back to computer repair because I love my people, love the community. I have customers who call me just because they want me to come and basically hang out with them. It's like, okay, cool. Hey, can you bring your kid too? Because she's entertaining. Sure. So I got no complaints. I'm like, they're all retired people in their 70s and 80s. So,
Oh my gosh.
I think there's, it's interesting community. And then you got the young people who live in here. So, you get there's a high school, 2 elementary schools and middle school. So there's a lot of families here. So there's a lot of, I stepped on my laptop, I broke my laptop. That's mainly what I do for work is all break, fix, computer repair, come run wire here, fix this, BIOS, this, that. And so I'm now getting into the wireless world, and it's frustrating because it's really hard. It's not easy. Wireless is tough.
It is exceptionally tough. But what got me about it and why I don't want to be in the wireless game, I want to be in the fiber game and all the infrastructure associated with that, is that even though you have it working perfect today, tomorrow something might come along that screws everything up. A neighbor puts up a router, or a wireless AP that's, screws up your channel planning, or just the weather will screw you up, and it's like, geez, I just, it's like that you're just like, it feels like you're always troubleshooting. Like there's no like known quantities on that stuff.
Well, when you go and give routers to all the neighbors and you are the ISP, then I think there's a little more control there. I don't know how well that work out because the big cable companies have these little boxes that they plug their DOCSIS into, and they scream and they're loud, and you can't turn off the radios. You can only disable them. It's like, come on. So there's a lot of challenges there when I have an access point in the middle of a room and they want signal in the back corner, but for some reason the signal's all leaking that way. We can't figure out why. You turn the router. It's like, okay, that one's better. Don't move your router. Leave it right there. In fact, let's put it in the microwave and just a Faraday cage around it, please. So I understand that challenge all too well. But yeah, fiber, like you said, is really something I'd love to do. I've seen demos of fiber where they wrap it around nails and make shoelaces and tie stuff with it. It's like, that's cool. How much is it? Oh, okay.
exploring alternatives.
Yeah. But to me, pulling wire through a wall, I'd love to run some of that flexible, fiber to some, from a main bedroom or a Q panel out to, wherever, and put switches in later with fiber. And people go, why do you do that? It's the future. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Okay, fine. You look at the data center world, right? It's like, let's bring it to the residential world. Let's bring that internet experience where you're 4 hops from the world. Let's not play this game of 22 hops to Google. Come on.
Well, people like Mikey out in BFE, I assume you don't have a lot of options, but it's getting better all the time.
Yeah. I'd like to have fiber to my house, but it's 3.5 miles, and I don't kind of
cost prohibitive. Yep. All right, fellers, we're at about an hour and a half, so normally this is where we stick a fork in it. What do you guys say? You have anything burning that you really need to get off your chest?
I got one more thing to complain about.
Let's hear it, Mikey.
So I saw on Nanog.
All right, I guess we're done with Mikey. He saw something in Nanog, and then he went away.
I should be back.
All right, you're back. So what'd you say at Nanog?
On the Nanog list, somebody sent out IETF has a proposal in front of them now to convert most of 127/8 into usable IP space. Not loopback reserved, whatever it's allocated for now. And seems like every so often there's a new proposal on how to reclaim some unused IPv4 space, and this thread has been full of them talking about anything from just, MIT has 1 million IP addresses. What do they need all those for? Let's take those back, and 240/4 I think is not being used for anything. So let's take that back. And that sounds all fine and dandy, but a lot of those are things that products over the years have coded into hardware. There's an ASIC that has 127/8 is not a routable IP space, or so on. So there's an incredible amount of work to take IP space that traditionally has not been available for everybody and make it available for everybody. Just having to replace hardware, having to update software, having to QC all of those things, and to what end? I guess towards the end we were assigning a /8 of IP space every month. So 127/8, well, almost all of it. I think they're keeping back a /16 of that for loopback. So you don't even get a month. You're gonna do all of that work to not get 1 month of IPv4 space.
That's another fun challenge.
Okay, so 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, okay, let's take that 240/4, let's take that 127/8 and reallocate it. But at this point, you're just wasting time. Because how long is it going to take to go through the IETF process to be formalized, then for software, hardware manufacturers to rebuild new products to take advantage of that? Windows XP supports IPv6.
So you're advocating we all run XP?
Sure.
I saw some article that was saying 60% of people, or maybe more, in Kazakhstan all use Windows XP.
I'm sure there's a lot of areas where legalities are a bit looser, and so they all stole it and they use.
I worked on a Windows 98 machine recently. It's quite old. It ran an embroidery machine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hardware failure.
Who would have thought?
Motherboard.
But yeah, and so I mean, obviously, we're not, the chances of people important at the IETF are probably not listening to our podcast. So I can't really speak to them. But, for those of you that think this is a good idea, because IPv4 is great and you want more of it, keep in mind that there's an enormous hill to climb to take any of these reserved spaces and make them available. And for what? How long do you get to use it? Somebody taught, reclaiming all of the DoD IP space. Because a lot of people think that just because it's not in the global internet means it's not being used, which isn't correct. But reclaiming all of the DoD space, I'm not sure how much they have on the top of my head, but it's not a year's worth. Are there 12/8's worth of DoD space? Maybe, but in a year, you're gonna have the same problem again.
Did you comment on that Nanog thread?
No.
Coward.
I did not. Well, I figured there were many more qualified people than I to argue this. And actually, I'm not even, right now, I just keep right-clicking on the thread and mark all as read, because it's past 20 or 30 messages in a conversation. You've gotten everything constructive you're going to get. Well, 95% of it. And I'm not interested in the long tail. But, yeah, so it's, circle back to the emails earlier, your network sucks because you don't run V6. Yeah, I don't have it on mine.
Yeah.
Well, on one of mine. Other ones I do.
I was gonna say, I don't have a dog in that fight. I want to run V6 in a couple of my networks, but the upstreams don't support it. So it's like, well, what good's that going to do me then?
Yeah, I have an upstream constraint on one of them as well. But we may be changing some things there to solve that. But that's the thing, is that, earlier, one of my complaints was about NAT. Well, in the V6 world, that's not a problem. Lots of people complaining about Xboxes and this and that, and, it's getting more and more common seeing people asking, if I've got on my, all these customers on this NAT, how do I figure out who has what IP when I get a subpoena? Or that, on this day at this time, who was doing what? How do I figure that out? Well, if you had V6, not to say that problem totally goes away, because they could do crimes on V4, but in the V6 world, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess.
We just lease our V4, and there's places you can actually lease like /19 for a couple grand a month. But you worry what's going to happen in 5 years when those prices all go. Like, oh.
I was recently working on a project that didn't end up panning out, which I was disappointed in. But we were potentially going to be spinning up a lot of fiber customers, and I'm, so far I've, everybody has a public IP. Now it may be, they may not have direct control of it because I'm routing it at their router and netting it there, so they may not have it directly on their device, but only one person has their IP. I looked at, okay, so what does it cost for me to buy IPs so that I can have one IP per person? And it was like, I was thinking back to, it was $5 an IP, at auction, it went up to 10 and 15, maybe we're getting close to 20. And when I looked, it was $55 per IP address to purchase them. And so now looking at an IP block large enough, let me see, let's limit it to Aaron, a /19, it's actually gone down a little bit, $405,000. $430,000 for a /19. And I think I was going to need an 18. So I was like, I was like looking at almost $1 million for IPs.
Wow.
Making sure that everything end-to-end supports V6 and buying some Fortinet boxes to do some of that CGNet sounds pretty cheap.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, compared to $1 million to buy IPs.
I have one carrier who gives us IPs for free, but other ones, they're not so free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free, it's kind of like, what do you call that?
Free.
Like golden handcuffs, because
Yeah.
now you're trapped with them. You can't really go anywhere.
Here's your bill.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, I got some stuff I got to go run and do, so let's wrap it up. Mikey, if folks out on the internet want to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, you could reach me at employment@dna-communications.com.
Brilliant move. Nobody will catch on, Mike. All right. Andrew, if people are curious about you and some of the projects you're doing and they want to get a hold of you out on the internet, what's the best way of doing that?
They're going to have to come to the Slack. Come check it out.
All right. Fair enough.
You can find me on there.
Yeah. So that's patreon.com/brotherswisp. You can get a hold of Andrew, where he's releasing his secret formula for all of the stuff. He's
It's not secret formula because if you guys are giving this formula out, it's how do you take it and stir it around in the bowl and serve people to the point where they like your cupcake versus the other cupcake is all it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really just a medium to figure out what ingredients everybody else is using and what's worked best for them. And you can.
Who wants to buy me out later?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Everyone's got a number.
Does your cupcake bring the boys to the yard?
I know I have a cake that does that.
Fair enough.
You have to upgrade, right?
All right. So you can find me at greg@gregsoul.com, or you just go to gregsoul.com. I got a little form in there where you can hit me up, where I very regularly blog now. Let's see. You could also, probably the easiest way of grabbing hold of me is to go into the Brothers Wisp Slack and just throw me a DM or at me anywhere. I'm usually pretty responsive, and I see that. I'm on, like a bunch of different Slacks, so I've always got it up. I'm always working in there. I'm always communicating through that. That's like my medium of choice nowadays. So it used to be email. Email is pretty well dead to me, unless it's something like official. Most of the time, I like doing all that stuff through Slack nowadays. It's just so much more efficient. Anyway, I digress. If you guys have any, so of course Mike sends me a Slack. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to see or have us talk about, please reach out to us. We actually really do listen. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. So let me click stop on all this stuff.
If you missed the show already, don't worry, you're forgiven.